Okay, so when I say the word genius, what's the first image that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's this guy, right? The wild hair, the mischievous eyes, the absolute picture of brilliance. But Albert Einstein was so much more than just an iconic photograph. He was a rebel, a pacifist, and a man whose life was every bit as revolutionary as his science. So, who was he? Genius, rebel, icon, all of the above. But to really understand his incredible achievements, we've got to look past the caricature and find the real person. And that journey, well, it starts by tearing down one of the biggest myths about him. You've probably heard it a million times. Hey, don't worry about that bad grade. Even Einstein failed math. It's a comforting thought, right? But it's also completely, totally wrong. The story of Einstein the bad student is a classic case of a simple misunderstanding that just kinda spiraled into a legend. The whole mystery actually comes down to this simple chart. See, the rumor got started because his early biographers got their wires crossed. In Germany, where he started school, a 6 was the worst possible grade. But in Switzerland, where he finished up, they flipped the whole system. A 6 was the best grade you could get. It was a simple mix-up, but boy, did it have huge consequences for his reputation. Because in reality, his final report card shows him absolutely crushing it. He got the highest possible grade, a perfect 6, in both physics and math. So far from being a poor student, he was a prodigy. The real issue was that his type of genius just didn't fit into the neat little boxes of a rigid, conformist system. So if he wasn't a bad student, who was he? Well, he was a nonconformist, a free thinker who clashed with authority from a really young age. And this rebellious spirit, this need to do things his own way, would end up defining his entire life, from his school days right through to his groundbreaking science. I mean, just look at this path. At 15, he'd had it with the strict German school system, so he just left. He failed his first try at the university entrance exam, not in physics or math, but in French. Then he renounced his German citizenship so he wouldn't have to join the army, which made him stateless for 5 whole years. And after he finally graduated, no university would hire him, so he took a humble job as a patent clerk. For anyone else, this would look like a series of failures. But for Einstein, it was freedom. And this brings us to 1905, his annus mirabilis, or miracle year. And you know that patent office job? It turned out to be the perfect incubator for his genius. Away from all the publisher-parish pressure of the academic world, he had the time and the mental space to just think. And at only 26 years old, he was about to have one of the most productive years in the entire history of science. In a single year, he published 4 papers that changed literally everything. He proposed that light is made of particles, which is the work that eventually won him the Nobel Prize. He mathematically proved that atoms exist. He completely rewrote our understanding of space and time with special relativity. And then, almost as an afterthought, he casually dropped the most famous equation in history. This simple-looking formula, E equals mc², it's so elegant, but what it means is absolutely earth-shattering. It tells us that mass and energy aren't separate things. They're 2 sides of the same coin. You can think of mass as just frozen, concentrated energy. And this formula was the key that unlocked the immense power hidden deep inside the atom, for better, and, as it turned out, for worse. Now, as his scientific fame just exploded, Einstein refused to stay locked away in an ivory tower. He used his platform to speak out on the big moral and political issues of his time, and he became this powerful voice for peace, human rights, and social justice. He was a committed pacifist way back during World War I. When the Nazis rose to power, he had to flee Germany, where a magazine actually published his picture on an enemies list with the caption, "Not yet hanged." But his pacifism was put to the ultimate test when he learned that Nazi Germany might be developing an atomic weapon. So he signed a letter urging President Roosevelt to start a U.S. program, and it was a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. After the war, he dedicated himself completely to the cause of nuclear disarmament. This quote just reveals the incredible burden he carried. He saw his role in starting the nuclear age as a great mistake. It's just a tragic irony for a man who believed so deeply in peace. And it's a powerful lesson in how even the best intentions can have unforeseen and sometimes devastating consequences. You know, Einstein's legacy isn't just in his equations. It's also in his profound and often witty insights into science, life, and just what it means to be human. His words continue to inspire and challenge us today. This famous line, it isn't really about a religious belief. It's about physics. Einstein was just deeply uncomfortable with the randomness that sits at the very heart of quantum mechanics. He believed there had to be some underlying orderly reality that science just hadn't found yet. Near the end of his life, doctors offered him surgery for a ruptured aneurysm, but he refused with these words. He faced death with the same kind of clear-eyed rationalism that he applied to the universe. He had lived his life on his own terms, and he was going to end it the same way. The nuance here is so important. For Einstein, religion wasn't about a personal God or going to church. It was about that feeling of awe, that sense of wonder you feel when you just contemplate the universe's incredible structure. He believed the scientific drive to understand and the human search for meaning weren't enemies at all. They were partners. So in the end, we're left with this thought. Einstein spent his final decades searching for a theory of everything that could unite the entire universe. That quest is still unfinished. But looking at our world today, with all of its complex challenges, you just have to wonder, where would that brilliant, rebellious, and deeply humane mind focus its attention now?